Right now, controversy is stirring around the relocation and preservation efforts of a historic building in Dilworth. People who live and work in the area are concerned about the entire project and its impacts that the parking in an already congested and growing community are having. Tonight, the person spearheading the move responding to the criticism. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre live now in Dilworth and shares more about these efforts needed to make the project all happen. Jess?
Jane, I'm standing in the parking lot where the restaurant group wants to relocate the historic building. But by placing it here, it takes away the majority of the parking spaces that are on the property. But they fear that if the rezoning is not passed, the building will be torn down.
We have to be mindful of the way that we grow and preserve where we can so that in future generations we're not just living in a cookie cutter city, and we actually have some little gems throughout all these different beautiful neighborhoods that we have that kind of speak to the history of the city.
Jamie Brown is the owner of the Tony Dandel Brown Restaurant Group. They want to save and relocate the Leeper-Wyatt building on South Boulevard, a two-story structure built back in 1903. Brown says it would be moved just a few blocks away to a lot they own off Cleveland Boulevard, next to a restaurant they plan to open next spring. The problem is that the Leeper-Wyatt building would take away the majority of the parking spaces on the property, and why the rezoning effort has gotten some opposition.
We feel relocating the building at the cost of the existing parking lot puts a burden on the residents living in the close proximity to the restaurant.
We obviously support the idea of preservation, but not at the expense of our own businesses.
What we have to do is consider people over places.
Between her two projects on the site, Brown says they must provide 22 parking spaces, the minimum parking standards set by the city's Unified Development Ordinance.
We've been able to develop a site plan wherein we will have 4 parking spots on our property, 8 along the street, and then we are securing an additional 10 spots off-site to get to those 22 spots.
Brown says they do hear the complaints and are working with the Dilworth Community Association and their neighbors to find a solution.
We want this to be a win-win-win across everybody. We want there to be a salvaged building. We want it to be a great concept. We want it to be as least impactful on the community.
Now, the restaurant group is expected to be back in front of the council on October 17. Now, if the rezoning is passed, then they will move forward with their plan. If not, then they fear that the landmark building will be demolished as developers who are holding off on tearing down the building move forward with their plans on South Boulevard. Live in Dilworth, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
A hot area there in that Dilworth area. Thanks for that live report, Jesse.